when we looked at the whole Freetown Road project and the Northern Highway, it was clear to us that those pedestrian crosses cause an impediment in the morning. Anyone who drives that recognizes that. And so there is the overpass, and what we mean to do is we've already removed the crosswalks, and we're putting a barricade there so that people actually will be compelled to use the overpass. When I've done inspections there, I've noticed increased traffic on the overpass. One of the things also that we recognize in hearing feedback from our stakeholders and from the public is at night there is concern about people being mugged on the overpass. So we're looking at issues of lighting. We're also looking at issues of possibly removing the sign so there is greater visibility as it relates to what's going on up there. But we've noticed that with the removal of those pedestrian crossings, traffic has flowed easier, significantly more in the morning.
Okay, but you will have people who will break the law. So my question is, how will the city deal with them?
Well, one of the areas that we're dealing with them right now is that we've put a barricade, so physically you can't walk across the street. It's very difficult for us.
You can't jump the barricade.
Yeah.
I mean, you will always have a situation where people are flagrantly ignoring the law. One of the things that we've tried to do is that we've tried to explain to people why we do certain things so that we get their cooperation. But it's very difficult to pass a piece of legislation that will ensure 100% compliance. We put the barricade up there. People are recognizing what we're trying to do, even if they don't agree with it. And so we're hoping that with our public relations, through our public relations officer, there will be greater buy-in and there will be compliance that way. Of course, we have to put in measures if we realize that that's a serious problem, persons jumping over the barricade or being unruly, then legislation will be there to ensure that we can ticket them, we can arrest them. But that is not our primary focus at this point. The primary focus is just on an ease traffic management, and we feel that the barricade is sufficient at this point.
When you deal with the ticketing process, won't it create a bottleneck in terms of getting all these people dealt with and in a timely fashion?
At this present moment, there's no plan to ticket pedestrians. There's no plan on the ground where we're looking at a draft SI or where we're looking at anything like that. The plan for the design of that street called for the installation of the barricades, and we're monitoring the situation. So we're realizing that there is greater compliance, because even when I drove to work this morning, I saw that a lot of people were using the overpass because of the barricade. Of course, you had one or two persons going across because it's not completed yet. By the end of the next week, it's supposed to be completed. When it's completed, it will be physically impossible for you to walk across unless you are very adventurous and you take the additional risk to jump over. But we are thinking that that would be sufficient without any ticketing system at that bottleneck there.
For people who are physically challenged, who have health issues,
yes,
heart problems, what are their options?
What we did is that and we're doing this on the Northern Highway because we have a plan for the Northern Highway also, but what we did is that for 3 weeks we put a person out there to observe the traffic in terms of pedestrians that were there. And we noticed that because we were concerned with Stella Maris and persons who may want to walk and to access that school, and the person reported to us that there was no person who was disabled who crossed that pedestrian crossing. And we've been dialoguing with persons to ensure that it's at least accessible. Of course, you know that at the base of the overpass there's wheelchair access. I have been advised though that it's near to impossible for somebody to cross the whole thing in a wheelchair.
Or an elderly person.
But it's something that we've looked at. It's something that the technical persons have advised me that there's sufficient enough alternative walks around that roundabout to enable that there will be freedom of access in that area. So while we are while we've removed one of the crosswalks in terms of that area by where the buses go, and we're allowing people to go over, there is still the opportunity for persons to access other crosswalks if they say they wanted to get from Sayview to Palote.